All right, are we good to go?
We are, Mr. Chair.
All right, then I will call to order this afternoon's meeting of the Autonomy Region Conservation Authority at 4:02. I'll begin with our land acknowledgement that we respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Massasauga Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude to First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Right, with that, I'll look for an approval of tonight's agenda. Pat and Joe, all in favor? So be it. All right, to look for a disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest. Seeing none, move on to delegations, which we have none. And now we'll look for the approval of the minutes held August 17th, 2023. I get the approval of those minutes. Mike and Gary, all in favor? So moved. Thank you. I don't believe there's any business arising from those minutes, Jeanette. I think we're good. All right, then we'll dive right into our reports. So their first report tonight is 2023-060, the draft 2024 performance objectives. Take it away, Jeanette.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as we normally have in our processes, I am bringing forward the draft performance objectives, and they were developed with everyone, staff involved. There are 16 new objectives here. There are 3 carry forwards. However, we do anticipate some of them being done before. There was also, the objectives were realistic, tangible, and using our own forces. There's a significant amount of core work that's already being done with our staffing forces. And I feel confident and excited and comfortable with the objectives. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
All right. Director Baldwin.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair, and through you to our CEO. Just wondering, thanks for the work on this, and thanks for staff. Lots of objectives there. I'm wondering, are those in any particular order in terms of when you would work toward those, or do they all have a beginning and end point at the same time, or have you prioritized any in any way? That's really my question. Are they more important than others, and if we prioritize where you would get going and starting first?
Jeanette.
Mr. Chair, they have a timeline throughout the whole year. So they're intended to be objectives for the entire year, and we report out on them quarterly. And so there are a number of objectives that we continually work on, and then there are ones that have a seasonality to them as well. So they're all priorities, and I'm confident that we can do them with our workforces.
Great to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Director Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'll just lower my hand here. There. Okay, thank you. Jeanette, one of the 16 new objectives that you talk about is it's called an ice management plan. Could you explain to me what that is?
Through Mr. Chair. So it is a provincial directive that all conservation authorities look at their structures and develop an ice plan. It's more of an operational plan than anything, but it is a provincial directive. So the structure of the plan is left up to the conservation authority to determine. And in particular, this would be one we would want to work closely with the City of Peterborough staff in terms of.
So we're talking river creek and lake ice, are we?
Mr. Chair, we do have a very historic ice structures, but it's to help prevent ice buildup and then spring. So it's in the rivers and the streams in our watershed, but it's intended to break up ice so that it doesn't build up and create flooding.
Frazzle ice, that sort of thing, Jeanette?
Yeah.
Okay.
We would look, staff would look at all of those issues in terms of things, so.
Okay, thank you.
Want me to go?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Oh. Thank you through you, Chair. Jenna, thanks for the list of performance objectives for the year. They look great. Just with respect to page 7, the operate the 3 campgrounds for group, public, and seasonal camping obviously includes the Lakefield campground for the first time this year. And, you know, I think I've spoken as well as Director Boyko has spoken about the need to have a post first year report put together on what works, what doesn't, what changes might be required for both the campers as well as the folks that live around the campground. I think they'd be interested to see how things have gone and what suggestions Autonomy Conservation has, you know, moving forward to improve the campground, that sort of thing. So I don't see it on there as an objective, but I'd like to see something for that purpose.
Now, would you be looking for that to be an annual report? Like there's already an annual report that comes back on the campgrounds that kind of highlights, you know, usages, but you're talking about something a little bit more in depth in terms of the impact on the surrounding area. Is that?
Yeah, through you, Chair. Yeah, you know, there was a lot of challenges around the decision and the future of the campground and really, yeah, numbers are one thing, but I think we're looking for recommendations from Orca on the future use of the campground, where there might be improvements made, where things need to be toned back a bit, maybe. That sort of thing. The numbers, I think, are standard KPIs that I know we get. But given the first year, just a share of experience, what's working, what's not working, what kind of changes they'd like to see, and obviously work with the municipality to have those changes implemented.
Did it?
So, Mr. Chair, so part of our agreement that we have with this Township of Selwyn is to actually produce some reporting. It occurs in the beginning of December. And so we are talking internally around how we can actually bring some of that forward to the board. We obviously want to have a meeting with the staff and share that information that they're looking for as well. So we're already having that conversation. I anticipate bringing some report to the December board meeting that would give an overview, some recommendations and things like that. But I would want to include the Selwyn staff in that discussion too. So I think this is very doable.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so just for clarity, then that won't be added to the 2024 performance objectives because it's a 2023 task that's going to come forward to us.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Director Baldwin.
Mr. Chair, I'll defer to Mr. Boyko. I think he had his hand up before I did, and then I'll come if you can come back to me after.
All right, you're first on my screen, so but if Mr. Boyko wants to go, feel free.
Very good, thank you. There's just a couple that I've, and they're on page 4, and they're marked as new, and they look small, but they could turn into something big. So I wonder if you just comment on them. The one is new: repair the drainage issues on the Jackson Creek Trail,
Oh.
which sounds small, but That has the potential to be gigantic. And the one directly below it, new, it says construct accessible beach entrance trail at Selwyn Beach. Maybe you could explain a little bit what you mean by that one.
So, Mr. Chair, these are, so in terms of scope, they are small. The Jackson Creek drainage issue actually is something that occurred after we had done our work there. And we noticed that we needed to do the work. But all of these things, even if with an approval today, I would take this information and start to prepare the capital budget that you will see in October. And so none of these performance objectives are really committed to until you actually see the budget and you actually understand what the scale and what's being brought forward. So they might appear as if they are significant, either dollar-wise or work-wise. I will show you in October how we will be able to do this within a very good budget.
That's a relief. Thank you. Thank you for that, for helping me to understand that.
Thank you. All right, you ready to go now, Gary? Or you,
Well, good to go, Ryan.
All right.
Just for information, Jeanette, I'm on the Canadian Canoe Museum as the city's representative. That building is a little bit behind in terms of its opening. In open session yesterday, we talked about the grand opening will be happening the weekend of May 9, 10, and 11. And I see that your campgrounds will be opening on May the 10th. I'm just wondering if there may be an opportunity to cross-promote both of the venues, Beavermead and Peterborough, having some of those people who may be booking early to get into the park, going to the Canadian Canoe Museum, and vice versa, having people who might be going to the museum over to Beavermead and see what we have to offer over there. So I'll just give you that date as kind of a heads up. It hasn't been announced publicly, but it was in public session, so I don't mind sharing it with the group this afternoon. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Baldwin, it sounds like you were nominating yourself for the marketing committee.
I'm sorry?
So it sounded like you were nominating yourself for the marketing committee.
No, I don't think so. I just wanted to get that out there to our CAO. I've got a lot on my plate right now, Ryan. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I think this is an administrative thing. We can easily work with this and make it work.
Excellent. Any other comments or questions? No, I just had one actually. It was regarding those dates that Director Baldwin brought up. We're only really receiving this report today, so it doesn't really lock us into this report until we get a budget in front of us, and then I believe this report comes back and we approve it as the final performance objectives. But I guess roundabout way, are we locking ourselves in by putting those dates down as firm dates? Like is there, or do we have a little bit of flexibility in there? Like, are we better to be specific, or are we better to be a little bit vague there? That's, I guess, my question.
So, Mr. Chair, the seasons have been historically established in terms of things. So that's what we have been using. In terms of a budget, we do use that information to develop our staffing models, in particular for the campgrounds and things like that. So there is a financial implication if you start expanding or shortening that time frame. There are some people that look to when we go live again after the budget's approved and the camp grounds are open for booking. They want to be able to know what that season is. So the short answer to that is no, you're not locking yourselves into the particular dates today. But I will use this information to prepare some budget work.
Fair enough. Thank you. I see we got a couple more questions came up. So Director Taylor, you jumped in first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, to talk to your point, I've often felt that vague targets give vague results. So I think it's good to have some timeframes around these objectives and see how close we can get to them. But my question, actually, Councillor Baldwin tweaked my memory when he brought up the subject of Beavermead, because in the list of objectives, it says the new contract for Beavermead has been renewed. Jeanette, what time frame is that? 1 year, or how long is that contract for?
So the current contract does expire in 2024, in October of 2024. So it's currently a 10-year contract. So we do need to have some discussions with the city of Peterborough about renewing that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Director Black.
Yeah, thank you through your chair. Jeanette, it just kind of tweaked to me when you talked about December for the report. You know, budget preparations are ongoing, obviously, into the fall, and I would suggest if there are going to be any recommendations around capital spending, in particular, that those things be brought forward maybe sooner than later, if those are issues that your staff really feel need to be addressed for the camping season next year. I'd be talking to the township sooner than later.
Okay. Thank you. Noted. There is regular staff conversations around that, but I've noted that, Director.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any further questions or comments? Any more tweaking? Nope. All right. Can I get a mover to receive this report then? All right. Director Black, Mike, you good? All right. All in favor? So received. Thank you. All right. The next report is 2023-061, final progress report. This is the letter to the province. Jeanette?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm pleased to provide this report. Even though it's titled final, there's an actual final later in 2024. However, what I would like to highlight is that the great work that the municipal staff and here at the Conservation Authority in terms of completing our cost apportionment agreements. And our last one, I'm highlighting the fact that I had a great conversation with the City of Kawartha Lake staff in terms of the completing that one. So this is a good report for us, and I'm pleased to say that we're one of few conservation authorities in the province that have completed as much progress on all of the various tasks that the provincial government has given all conservation authorities over the past 2 years. So we've done well.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeanette. And yes, hats off to yourself and the authorities or the municipalities you've worked with. It's a huge accomplishment to get the gold star essentially in terms of the conservation authorities. Any comments, questions? No. I see there's somebody dialed in. I don't know whether
Ron here, Ron Ashmore. Sorry I was late, but I couldn't appear by Zoom, but I'm by the phone here.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
All right. So looking for a mover to receive the final, not yet final report. Mr. Boyko, Mr. Taylor. All right, all in favor? So received. Thank you very much. The next report is 2023-062, adjustment to the December board meeting date. Go ahead, Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just an opportunity to adjust our schedule. It does require a board decision, and it's really to move up our December meeting up a week, and hopefully that accommodates everybody's schedule.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Motion to receive the report and approve the recommendation.
Good and simple. A seconder. All right, Pat, all in favor? So moved. Reports from commission would be 2022-063, the CAO's monthly report. Go ahead, Jeanette. Joe, you got a question already, or you want to take your hand in? Go ahead, Jeanette.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. So it's the fall, and so obviously we're heavy into our tree planting programs, and wanted to take an opportunity to highlight the great work that staff and our volunteers and our corporate partners are doing. And then obviously we are heavy into our budget development. So in October, the board will see a 2023 forecast. We'll see a draft operating budget. We'll also see a draft capital budget, and also a fee schedule update. So it's a substantive meeting that we have in October.
Okay. Any questions, concerns? All right, I get a mover to receive Jeanette's monthly report. Thank you, Gary and Ron. All in favor? So received. Thank you very much. Correspondence and media coverage. There's a few pieces of correspondence there. Does anybody want to, any questions or discussion? Not seeing any. We'll ask to receive the media coverage. Or the correspondence, my bad. I got John and Pat. All in favor? So received. All right, that moves us to open forum. Anybody, anything they want to bring up? All right, well, seeing none, there is no closed session reports today. Future meetings, Conservation Ontario is on Monday. Jeanette and I will be attending that. Our next board meeting is October 19th. Location yet to be decided, I understand.
No, yeah, Mr. Chair. So unfortunately, we were not able to hold our meeting at the Canoe Museum. They're not quite ready for us yet. But the county office, same location sort of as last year. Peterborough County has offered to let us use their meeting offices, their room.
Thank you.
So we will update the website, and we will also send out a note to all of the directors.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. And then for those of us on the Source Protection Authority meeting, we understand the next one will be early next year, most likely. And with that, I will look for an adjournment. Mr. Black. Thank you. Mr. Boyko. All in favor? We are so adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Platinum star, Ryan, platinum star. Take care,
Take care, everybody. See you in October.
Yes.